Mic on. All right, my mic is on. Apparently I'm also live streaming to Twitch. No, not Twitch, TikTok at the moment. And I've also got my live stream here. All right, let's see what we got going on. So Alper Alyanik wants to see the Unogu, and see if it has an accurate challenge rating first. And then Clawpaw says, "Heyo, can't wait for today's stream. Can you do Stone Giant if that's fine?" Of course I can do the Stone Giant. That would be fantastic. So let me add those to my list while I'm still waiting for the moment. Let's see here. So we have Yinogu. If anyone knows what the book is for Yinogu, it's probably Monster Manual, but still, that would be helpful. And then Stone Giant as well. What else do we have here? Also, how do you work with homebrew monsters? Like, if they aren't anywhere specific but more hidden in some sort of forum or something, do you need more time to prepare, find them, or fresh? Yeah, as long as I have the stat blocks and everything for a custom monster, similar to like the Sand Golem from the D&D wiki, I can easily get any kind of monster going. So I'll do custom monsters live. It's not a big deal, provided all the information is there. All right, let's see here. Let me switch my screen. All right, and unfortunately my secondary resource is down, so I'm gonna have to take a look for Yinogu and see where that book is. Let's see here. No, that's not telling me. I was hoping maybe it would be in a book or something. That's just showing me what it is. Let's see. Oh, nice. Okay, so it's a bit tricky to find, but has everything needed for the CR. Okay, cool. It's called the Scorpicus. Let's see if it comes up. I think I got that right. Scorpicus. Oh yeah, it looks like it's, well, this is the 5e race. Homebrew. Monster a Day Scorpicus. Let's see if that comes up. Alright, so would this be it, Clawpaw? Ah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. All right, let's get rid of... That's fine. I can add that in as well. Alright, let me put that on my list. I'll do that third. No, that's not Instagram. It's Imgur. Okay. Perfect. You're welcome, Clawpaw. Look, Violet, this is not the time to try to get on my lap, okay? Nothing's gonna help if you try to get my lap, cat. Alright, let me pull up the monster manual and see if I can find the Yinogu, and we'll go from there. Probably just be better off doing the monster block like this. Yeti. You want T. Alright, we're at U. YU already, so definitely not in here unless it's... Oh, bother. 1 second. My laptop battery's running low. Forgot to plug that in. There we go, that's better. Okay, let me get rid of that notification. All right, down to the index. Let's take a look at there. Maybe we can find a Yinogu there. All right, definitely not in this book. So let's start with Mordenkainen's. Let's see here. Tomophos Deluxe. If I can't find it after Volos, I will skip the Unogu and try to figure it out later on. Monster list. Oh, there we go. Perfect. 155. Okay. So we need to go to 156, usually. And we have a rather large stat block here. And, oh, okay. Yeah, I know this one. This is the leader of the kobolds. Or not the kobolds, the gnolls, right? This is their god or leader or whatever. Alright, and we have some regional effects and lair actions as well. Alright, so we have a bit of an epic monster god or something to take a look at here. So let's go ahead and split the screen a bit. Get that set up, and we'll hop back over to here. Shrink that down. Alright, and we have Unogu, a huge fiend. So jumping right into this, we have a 20 AC for Unogu, natural armor. It is a huge fiend. Yes, this is a very cute looking epic demon. Let's see, how many hit dice? 23 D12 with 23 Constitution. Don't care about Wisdom and Charisma. And this should be a CR 24. I'm sure it's going to be worse. Alright, and I'm also forgetting my mouse highlighter so people can track my movements as erratic as they are. Alright, what do we got here in the skills area? We have 3 saving throws of Dex, Con, and Wisdom, so that's going to give Unogu +2 AC. We also have skills, which you don't care about. 3 damage resistances, but because it's over CR 16, those do absolutely nothing. The damage immunities will help, though, giving Unogu +25% hit points. And then we can skip down into the monster traits as well. And we have innate spellcasting of Detect Magic, Dispel Magic, Fear, Invisibility, and Teleport. I'm gonna hazard a guess that all these, even though they are helpful, are probably not going to really help whatsoever with the effective DPRs. So I'm not going to worry about working out the innate spellcasting, considering Unogu is more than likely a striker style monster, even though they have a good amount of hit points here. So let's skip over innate spellcasting and go down into legendary resistance of 3 uses, which is very typical, and followed up by the pairing of magic resistance as always. So you got anything over CR 20, it's going to have legendary resistances and magic resistance, guaranteed. Then we also have magic weapons, which doesn't matter. And just if this is the first time watching this, magic resistance obviously gives a +2 effective AC bonus, while the legendary resistance will give 90 hit points for the 3 uses, being 30 hit points per use. Alright. After that, we also have Rampage. When Unogu reduces a creature to 0 hit points with a melee attack on his turn, Unogu can take a bonus action to move up to half his speed and make a bite attack. Now, this is going to be funny because Rampage is not that great. Oh yes, they are null, obviously. And Rampage is only going to give Unogu +2 DPR. For as epic as this monster is, +2 DPR from Rampage is nothing. This is worth nothing at all. Let's see here. I have someone on TikTok, Lola Spam 33. Hello, Lola Spam 33. Thank you for joining if you're still there. If not, that's fine. Man, that is hard to see. I gotta find a better setup for trying to stream this. Anyway, back to let's see here. Back to the screen. And Rampage does garbage for higher level monsters because of that +2 DPR. There is a possibility that it could throw the OCR into like a stage higher because of those +2 points, but that's it. It's getting, I think, +2 for every round of combat. So at the moment, yeah, it's just getting a little extra, which is nothing for this monster. All right, now we can move into legendary actions now that the monster traits are done. And we have a multi-attack plus plus 16 to hit. So I'm going to throw that plus 16 in here to the attack bonus section, and then move on over to the combat workspace to see what we have for the multi-attacks. Yunugu makes 3 flail attacks. If an attack hits, he can cause it to create an additional effect of his choice or at random. And we have 3 options. The attack deals an extra 13 bludgeoning damage. The target must succeed on a 17 con save or be paralyzed. Or the target must succeed on a wisdom save or be affected by the confusion spell until the start of Yunugu's next turn. Well, more than likely, since Yunugu can choose what to do with a flail hit, we're going to suggest that this is definitely the one to use, option number 1 all the time. Considering the other ones are 2 condition effects of paralyzing and confusion, those would be helpful. Actually, we can take a look at confusion because I believe that's a 3rd level spell. Or it could be based off a 3rd level spell and might be worth 30 effective damage. And at the moment, I can't really give you a better suggestion on that, whether or not it is or not. And let's see here. We got someone on TikTok, Miro Sloguzek. Hello, if you're still there. If not, thank you for stopping by briefly and looking at my horizontal horrible screen position, landscape position. All right, and let's see here. So let's go back to my page and start working out damage just from the 13 extra damage on the first attack here, because that will be something handy to look at. So the flail will be dealing 15.5 bludgeoning damage, and we also have a bite. And the bite can deal 14.5 piercing damage. Now, Yunugu makes 3 flail attacks and does... Alright, so the bite comes in effect from the rampage, which may actually happen. But we also have some legendary actions, so let's worry about that in a little bit. We also have the multi-attack rider of 13 damage, so we'll just put that in there. And we'll suggest that every flail attack, Yunugu is also going to use the 13 damage from that as well. So we'll say, we'll grab that and we'll add that. Oh, no, where am I going here? And we'll multiply all that times 3. So our multi-attack with 3 flails and 3 bludgeoning damages from the force of how strong Yunugu is, we're looking at an average of 85.5 damage on the multi-attacks. Now we can look at the legendary actions here, and we'll see that Yunugu can charge. Yunugu moves up to its speed. Well, charge is very similar to Orc's aggressive, which allows as a bonus action, the creature can move up to its speed towards a hostile creature can see. So in theory, this would add +2 damage per round. Not great, so I'm not going to bother really adding that into the workspace section here. So in essence, the first legendary action will be dealing nothing. We also have, let's see here, Blue Eladrin on TikTok. Hello, if you're still there. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you can hear me. I have no idea if you can or not, but we are working through breaking down monsters with my chart here. And hopefully, you know, my YouTube watchers will not get too annoyed with how many times I may have to repeat myself. So we have the second legendary action of Swat Away. Yunugu makes a flail attack. If the attack hits, the target must succeed on a DC 24 saving throw or be pushed 15 feet away from Yunugu. If the saving throw fails by 5 or more, the target falls prone. Super handy for advantage, but because it's in a condition and not necessarily guaranteed to fall prone, we're just going to go with the rider damage of a flail attack. Now, because this isn't part of the multi-attack, we can't add in the damage from that section. So we can't add in the 1, 2, and 3 possibilities. This is only when doing a multi-attack of the action. So in theory, Swat Away is just a straight flail attack. In theory, we'll see what happens. We may need to add in the flail damage as well, but let's not get ahead of myself here. So we'll just say 3 flail attacks since they're all 1 point costs. And we get a total of 46 points of damage for the flail legendary action. And then the last action it has is Savage. Costs 2 actions. Yunugu makes a bite attack against each creature within 10 feet. Oh, wow. Okay. So that's handy. So we're going to get 2 bite attacks and a possible flail attack. Because the Savage takes 2 actions to use, and we also get a 3rd legendary action to use, which we would then use possibly for Swat Away. So we're looking at 44.5 points of damage. Surprisingly enough, the Swat Away is still the slightly stronger possibility here to use. Alright, well, we also have to take a look back here at Yunugu's lair actions and see what we have for those, because we can possibly get some more damage out of them this way as well. So the first one is Yunugu causes an iron spike 5 feet tall and 1 inch in diameter to burst from the ground at a point he can see within 100 feet. Any creature in the space where the spike emerges must make a dex save or take 27 points of damage. And is restrained by being impaled on the spike. Oh, fun. A creature can use an action to remove itself from the spike, ending the restrained condition. Alright, so that is going to only be 1 target that gets impaled, and will deal 27 points of damage. After that, we also have each gnoll or hyena that Yunugu can see can use its reaction to move up to its speed. So there's going to be no damage bonuses here. That's just going to more make the other gnolls and hyenas dangerous. So we're not going to bother adding that in there. Wicked Dice on TikTok, hello. Thank you for joining if you're still here. I do not have any way of telling who is still in or not. But anyways, so lair action number 2 does no damage, but makes the others a lot more dangerous. And finally, the other lair action is until the next initiative count, all gnolls and hyenas within the lair are enraged, causing them to have advantage on melee attacks, weapon attack rolls, and causing attack rolls to have advantage against them. Alright, so it's just like Barbarian's reckless attacks, and even the monster trait that is of the same fashion, so there's going to be no bonus or effects there. So we only have 1 lair action that is possibly dealing damage, and that can be used on turns 1 and 3, technically. And then we have some regional effects, which probably won't do anything, but we'll take a look at those as well. Within 1 mile of the lair, large iron spikes grow out of the ground and stone surfaces. Yunugu impales the bodies of the slain on these spikes, so we got like some Vlad the Impaler stuff going on here. Predatory beasts within 6 miles of the lair become unusually savage, killing far more than what they need for food. And then if a humanoid spends at least 1 hour within 1 mile of the lair, that creature must succeed on a save or descend into a madness determined by the madness of Yunugu table. So regional effects don't affect Yunugu's CR at all, but does let you know you're getting closer to where Yunugu rests his head. Alright, with that all out of the way, let's go ahead and calculate our rounds of damage here and see what we get. Well, right off the bat, first round would be the multi-attack, which is the flails and the extra flail damage, plus the 3 extra flails from the legendary actions of Swat Away, and then the layered action to impale a player or target in there. So we're looking at 159 points of damage already. Round 2 will be a rinse and repeat minus the layer action, because we would have to switch it to something else. So we'll do 85 plus 46, giving us 132, and we're creeping up closer to its CR 24. We're already at 22 right now. And then lastly, round 3 will just be a repeat of round 1. And this gives us an average of 150 damage. And surprisingly enough, Yunugu is even rated at CR 24. I am absolutely shocked. Cornucopia, hey, good to see you. So far so good. We've actually just looked at Yunugu, the Gnoll God or Demon Lord, and found out it's a even rated monster or fiend, which was really shocking. I am very impressed with the fact that this is even rated, and I expected it to be deadlier, to be honest. There may be some stuff here with the magics, but I'm not entirely concerned about it. There is invisibility, but because of it being the basic invisibility and not greater, it's not going to really add anything but maybe some effective DPR. Fear could help, but it has to use an action to cast that, so it's a bit of a waste. And Dispel Magic is really going to be the only thing that is going to be worthwhile using in combat. So, shockingly enough, Yeenoghu is even rated with an OCR of 23, a DCR of 24, and that averages out to 23.5, and we round up to 24. First above CR 20 monster that I've worked through that actually gave us an even rating. I am shocked. Shocked, I say. So let me come over here and take a note of this. And this was Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, so I have that for later. Let's see here. And Yeenoghu evaluated. Yes. We found it to be, what was it, 24, OCR 23, and found 24. Surprisingly even rated. I have no notes about that. Well, I could say spells may change the CR, but beyond that, no other notes. Fascinating. I am rather shocked. Clawpaw, he says, I will love to use this big boy in some sort of raid arc uwu, but yeah, more damage is always cooler. Yeah, with these higher level monsters, they're usually more tank-like, and Yeenoghu is more on what I would classify the playstyle as versatile. They don't have a whole lot of hit points, but they still do a good amount of damage, which is surprising. So they're probably relying on having a whole bunch of other gnolls and hyenas, as we saw in the descriptions of the lairs and whatnot, around to help draw the attention away from this fiend. All right, well, that is a successful look at Yeenoghu. Let me come back to the chart here, reset this, and we will start looking at the stone giant next. Clawpaw says, makes sense, yeah. Wait, did they have multi-attack? Yes. Yeenoghu has multi-attack with 3 flail attacks. There's also some instances of bite, so there could be some extra damage like from Rampage, but I would see that happening more often, but because of that little extra there, who knows? It may or may not happen from the Rampage. It's odd. I don't know. All right, let me go and find the stone giant now and see if that's in here anywhere. Ah, perfect. 156. Okay. 157 for the stone giant. And I'll also move this one over from... Oh, come on, get in there. There we go. All right. Let's see here. What do we got going on now? Oh yeah, no worries, Clawpaw. It's cool. All right, Stone Giant is CR7. I'm all over the place here. And that is Monster Manual. And I'll just get that set up here, just so I have that ready. Stone Giant, there we go. Okay. All right, Stone Giant from the Monsters Manual. We have a huge giant, obviously, with 17 AC. Turning on my lamp. It's getting a little dark in my room here. And it is, like I said, huge, with 11d12 hit points, 20 Constitution, don't care about these two, and should be a CR7. Alright, with that base information out of the way, we can take a look at the skills section, and we see we have 3 saving throws for the Stone Giant. And the Stone Giant has Dex, Con, and Wisdom. Surprising that the Giant would have Dexterity. But Constitution and Wisdom are not surprising. And that's it for the skills area. We don't have any kind of resistances or immunities, and we can jump down into the monster trait of Stone Camouflage. The giant has advantage on dex stealth checks made to hide in rocky terrain. Well, that's not going to help the Stone Giant CR whatsoever. So there's no effect from Stone Camouflage, and we can just jump right down into the actions and the reaction that our giant has here. So we have a multi-attack, and we also have a +9 to hit. I'm going to change the attack bonus to 9, giving us an immediate shift in the OCR. And then working over into the combat workspace, we will see that we have 2 great club attacks from the multi-attack. And the great club attack will deal 19.5 bludgeoning damage. And we then have a rock throw, which it can heave a big old rock for 28 points of bludgeoning damage. And a strength save to be knocked prone otherwise. So that one's nice and simple at 28 points of damage. And then what else do we have? Reaction. Rock catching. If a rock or similar object is hurled at the giant can, with a successful dex save, catch the missile and take no bludgeoning damage from it. So this could be good. Reactions here could be good to use against any wizards or sorcerers or others that are using the catapult spell. I would suggest that it's possibly going to be able to catch whatever was flung at it and stop the damage from catapult. Allegedly. I don't know if it actually would or not, but that would be really funny to just have, you know, a combat scenario, and then the wizard's like, yeah, I'm going to catapult some rocks, or this foldable boat from one of my campaigns. And the rock or stone giant just goes, nope, and grabs it. I mean, with a DC 10 dex save and a +2 bonus, more than likely it's going to be successful most of the time. Alright, and we then have nothing really to worry about the reactions, so let's just go into the multi-attack of 2 great club attacks, which will average out to, what is that, 39 points of damage? Yep, 39, and that is all the rock giant will be able to really do every round of combat, provided it's up in melee. I mean, obviously, if it's the first round of combat, ooh, hold on, and the players are nice and far out, then we're going to maybe chuck a couple stones until they get into melee range. But beyond that, we're just looking at a whole bunch of giant great club swinging, you know, madness here. So this will end up giving us an average of 39, obviously, because we're not modifying it whatsoever. And as we can see in the chart here, we have an even rated stone giant, thankfully. It's a CR7. Perfect. It looks like, what do we got here? The DCR is a 6. And the OCR is a 7, and this averages out to 6.5. We round up to a 7. We have ourselves a CR7 Stone Giant. Perfect. So feel free to use the Stone Giant as it's printed and not worry about the fact that, you know, maybe this is a little underrated or not. Just for the sake of things, let's take a look if we were to actually use just the rock throws and see what our giant looks like there. So we're looking at 3. Wow, that only really drops the Stone Giant down 1 CR. So, you know, feel confident that even rock throws will deal a decent amount of damage. Alright, let me go back to my information here, and we have a 6, 7, and a 7, even rated. And the note will be rock throwing drops CR 7 to 6. Not bad. Perfect. Yeah, just like you said, Clawpaw. Alright. Cat, you gotta stop bouncing my table around here. I have my phone live streaming to TikTok right now, and it's on a precariously balanced tripod, and it's just bobbling all over the place while my cat cleans herself. Oh yeah. Let's see here. Cornucopia said, can't stay, sadly I'm dead tired. Very surprising that one of the demon lords is even rated. Getting back to you, Cornucopia, if you watch the VOD, yes, I'm extremely surprised that a Demon Lord is even rated. Really absurdly surprised, to be honest. Alright, let's see here. Scorpus! Let's take a look at Scorpus next. Clawpaw was fiending for this one. So let's see what we got. Resetting the tool. And I need to zoom in or do something here to see this a little better. Let's see here. Control. Yeah, perfect. There we go. Scorpicus. Excuse me. Scorpicus, not Scorpus. Scorpicus. Created by Stone Strix for our monster a day. Oh, God. Hey, I was doing that for a while. Like, beginning of... When was that? Back in... Yeah, early 2000s, late 2019, early 2000s. I was just going through the creature book and turning everything into zombies. So I have a whole slew of like CR 1/8 to 1s and turning them all into zombies. It was really funny. I've got a lot of them. I was just doing it for the fun of it and then posting it on Twitter and even Reddit. Alright. Scorpicus, a large monstrosity with 17 natural armor. As I said, it was large, 13 D10, and 18 Constitution. Should be a CR6. Let's see how this works out. Moving down into our monster skills area, we have damage immunities only to poison, and because it's one condition, we're going to skip that completely and not have to worry about that. And then we also have nothing else to worry here, so we'll move down into the monster traits for Scorpicus. And see that we have sure-footed, and this gives advantage on strength and dexterity saves to not be knocked prone. Cool. Super helpful. No effect. Doesn't matter. So, you know, these no effect traits are really handy to have for a lot of situations, especially something like this. Having sure-footed and having, you know, a battle master that likes to knock things prone, or other classes and whatnot that are really taking advantage of the advantage of prone, especially if they're not flanking. This is a nice counter to that. So then we'll move down into the multi-attack and the action section here. And we have, let's see here, we have an attack bonus of 7 to hit. And that is coming from, what, the probably 3 proficiency and 4 from strength. And then we have the multi-attack. Scorpicus makes 3 attacks, 2 with its claws, 1 with its sting. It can make a glaive attack in place of a claw. All right, so we have potentially 2 different variations depending on how much damage we want to do here. And the first claw attack will be, let's see here, 1 target, 8.5 bludgeoning damage, and the target is grappled. Alright, so we have 2 claw attacks, unless the glaive is dealing more damage, which is, it is actually dealing 1 more point of damage at 9.5. We could use the claws instead and grapple 2 targets at the same time. This would effectively give Scorpicus a +2 AC bonus. And I'm going to use the fly stat here, because this will give an immediate +2 bonus here. Ignoring the glaive because it's going to do only 1 more point of damage. On top of that, we also have Sting, not the singer. Hopefully I can remember to put a picture of him in there, maybe. And we have, let's see here, 9.5 damage for the initial piercing damage, plus a con save for 22 points of poison damage. And that's going to be where the heaviest amount of damage is obviously coming from the Sting. Now, back to the multi-attack, we're going to do 2 claws because we want the +2 AC bonus coming from the grapples. And then also 1 sting attack, right? Yes. So the multi-attack will end up being this plus this, so 8.5 plus 8.5, and then the sting attack, giving us a total of 48.5 points of damage. On top of that, now that we have this figured out, before I miss it, we also have a reaction here. Actually, I'll come back to the reaction. Let me finish up the actions and doing the rounds of damage. So we don't have any legendary actions or lair actions to worry about, and we'll just go right into the rounds of combat. And this is going to be simple. It's just straight Multi-attacks times 3. It's going to do the same thing every 3 rounds of combat. So far, we're looking at a CR7, and that's from the 2 grapples. But we also have the parry to worry about in the reaction. So let me come over here and come down to the reaction of parry and add that in. And we're getting +1 AC bonus here as well. So let's see what happens. Well, we only have a CR7. The extra bonus from parry doesn't help. But let's see what happens if we switch the damage around just a little bit and we get rid of the 1 extra AC bonus and just put in constrict over here. That's still going to keep us at an CR7 so far. And then switch this around just a little bit and switch the second claw attack to a let's see here, to the glaive attack instead. So we have all that connected together, gives us 49 points of damage on average. So we're looking still at a CR7 Scorpicus. So let's see here. Clawpaw says, "Oh yes, Sting is interesting." It certainly is. And also on TikTok, Ralphie Talks. If you're still there, thanks for joining. I need to figure out live. This is my first time doing live on TikTok and having over 1,000 followers or friends over there. So yeah, the Sting is great because it's going to be doing a massive amount of damage. But if that Sting doesn't land and doesn't do the full amount of damage, this is going to be a severe nerf to the Scorpicus's damage output overall. So regardless if you do 2 claw attacks and a sting, or a claw, a glaive, and 1 sting, plus the parry, always remember to use the parry. We are looking at a CR7 monstrosity here. Only 1 step higher than the printed value of the CR6, which is impressive. A lot of these homebrews are usually a lot worse than what we would normally be seeing. All right, so I'm going to take that link there so I can use that for later. And I'm going to put that here so I have it for later use. And see that we have an underrated monstrosity Scorpion King looking thing, but only a slight difference. And actually it's very versatile too. Having just a slightly lower DCR here, but having a higher CR, I would say this is more versatile than being like a striker. It's not necessarily a striker. It's got the armor class to be a tank, and it has a decent amount of hit points at CR6, which is pretty good. All right, let's see what else we got here. Clawpaw. If I may add, I used the Scorpicus in a check battle, and the Sting critted with failed con save, and it dealt the 81 damage. So this was epic. Yeah. When things like that happen, Clawpaw, for sure that, not only did you crit, but it's going to be doing a massive amount of damage. Now that's funny, because, oh man, does the crit actually crit the poison damage as well? Huh. I'm going to have to do some research into that, but I would assume so. Even though it's a con save. Wow. Oof. Ouch. Yeah, 81 damage. Oof. Let me think here. CR6. Good encounter. You're probably looking at players around level 4 maybe? Or no. You would be higher than that. So level 10. I don't know. I asked my players and they all agreed on yes. So ouchie. Okay. Yeah, it makes sense because it is coming from the attack. And you have to land the attack. It's not something coming on its own like an AoE spell. So yeah, that makes sense that you would crit the poison damage as well, which 8d10. Oh man. That is absurd. Wow. Yeah, ouch. Okay. Man, cat, I can't have you on my lap right now. I'm sorry. So we're on a roll here so far. We have... Oh, no, I'm sorry. Scorpicus broke the hat trick. We almost had 3 even-rated monsters. This one is, again, only slightly underrated at a CR7, which is not bad at all. All right. Anyone watching anywhere have any more suggestions for monsters before I look at one of the ones on my list? Let's see here. What do we have next? Done the Jacklewere. The Inquisitor of the Tome. Could look at that. That one would be fun. Tackler we'd looked at. Quaggoth I already did. Purple Worm. Fairy Dragon Blue's fine. Flame Skull haven't looked at. So we have those two we haven't looked at yet. What else we got going on here? Flame Skull is a pretty common and common monster. Let's take a look at the Flame Skull if no one else chimes up. So let's see here. Come back to the bottom. Nope, too far. F. All right. So where is the Flame Skull? 134. 5. Flame Skull. All right. Flame Skull. Let's take a look at this one. Depending on how this goes, it may or may not be the last one. We're sitting at 6:45 so far, and may have time for one more. Who knows? Time to reset the tool. And we have the Flame Skull, a tiny undead. One of my buddy's campaigns I was playing around in as a Water Genasi warlock of the Fae with a Fae patron. We had a Flame Skull just constantly harassing us because we didn't know how to get rid of it. Took us a little while. Anyways, 13 AC is a tiny flaming floating skull head. Excuse me. Has 94 hit dice with a constitution of 14 and should be a CR4. Let's see here. Anything else? Nope. All right. And moving down into the skills area, now that our base information for the Flame Skull is out of the way, we have skills. Doesn't matter. Why would the Flame Skull need Arcana? I mean, I guess you could use it in a different setting where maybe it's talking to players because it does know common. That'd be kind of interesting, somehow working with the players if they're not evil. And we have damage resistances to lightning, necrotic, and piercing, and damage immunities to cold, fire, and poison. Well, because it's a CR4, we're going to use immunities anyways, but at this level, even resistances would give it 2 times the hit points. So it doesn't really matter at this point. It's got 2 times the hit points because of those resistances and immunities. And that's it for the skills area. Condition immunities, as I always say, doesn't matter. So we have the illumination. The Flame Skull sheds either dim light or bright light, and doesn't matter. There's no effect from the illumination. I'll tell you that one right off the bat. But we do have magic resistance, which is great. So magic resistance will give the Flame Skull an effective +2 AC bonus. And it also has rejuvenation. If the Flame Skull is destroyed, it regains all its hit points in 1 hour, unless holy water or is sprinkled on its remains, or a dispel magic or remove curse spell is cast on them. Yeah, this thing kept harassing my group so much that my buddy the DM turned a body of water into a blessed holy ocean or pond of water. It was really funny. That was finally the one way we got rid of the Flame Skull that kept just hunting us down. Annoying. So rejuvenation, just like the Lich's rejuvenation, has no effect whatsoever on the Flame Skull. It just is annoying because it comes back to life with full health. Or no. Yep, all its hit points. But we do have spellcasting. And we have Mage Hand, which technically does nothing but could do 4 effective damage per round, technically. Magic Missile and Shield. Okay, so we have Shield. Definitely going to be adding that in for an effective +5 bonus. Actually, it's not effective. It is a +5 AC bonus, so I have to fix that. And then we also have Blur, Flaming Sphere, and Fireball. Okay, lots of damage from the Fireball. Let's see here. So Fireball is going to be our level 3 spell, and it's going to do 56 points of damage that it can do once. So we have 56 points of damage we will add in for our Flame Skull's workspace here. And we will add that into spot number 2 because Fireball is definitely going to be used. And I'll just say Fireball here. And then we also have Flaming Sphere. I don't recall what spell level that one is. Give me a moment to look for that. Let's see here. It's not 3, obviously. Or did I move past it? Nope. It's right here, level 2. Okay, so... Oh, wait. I forgot. I can cast that at a 3rd level. Oh yeah, that is the base damage for 3rd level. I don't know what I'm thinking. Alright, well, we have 2nd level Flaming Sphere, which can be upcasted, but I'm sure it's nowhere near higher than the Fireball, so Flaming Sphere could be cast at level 2, at least 2 times for a damage per round of 14. DPR, yes, there we go. So we have 14 from that, which isn't a whole lot, but it's a concentration spell. So we could constantly do that and move it around. So it's going to be more than that. Interesting. Alright, and then let's see here. Multi-attack. The Flame Skull uses Fire Ray twice. Fire Ray has a +5 to hit. Alright, before we go any further, the monster traits are done. Spellcasting has been more or less figured out. I'm not too worried about the magic missiles because the shield will be keeping the Flame Skull alive longer. So I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm going to add in the +5 to hit for the Fire Ray that it can do. And then we are moving into the attack section. The action section with the multi-attack of 2 Fire Rays. Like I said, it has a +5 to hit. And the damage from the Fire Ray will be dealing 10.5 points of damage. So our multi-attack will end up being 2 of these at 20.5. And we have the Flaming Sphere. Oh, excuse me, it would be 21 points of damage for the multi-attack on average. So, Flaming Sphere can be moved around, dealing damage. So that's going to be, first round we would probably end up doing that. So let's see here. That would be round number 1. And then round number 2, ooh, let's get that in the right spot. Alright, so round number 1, again, we'll be setting up the Flaming Sphere. And then we can move that as a bonus action every round, getting extra damage. After that, we would then do round 2, a Fireball, and move the Flaming Sphere around again. And then round 3, we would have to go into the multi-attack because our Fireball is gone. But we can still do the Flaming Sphere as well. And how did I get a false? Because I didn't put a plus sign. So we have 35 points of damage for that. And we have, on average, full attack of 39 points of damage. Which, once we look at everything here, the Flaming Skull technically is underrated at a CR5. Now, what if we don't use Flaming Skull? Or, excuse me, what if we don't use the Flaming Sphere at all? Let's clear out everything here, and instead we'll do Fireball first, and then we'll just do 2 multi-attacks afterwards. Alright, we have that there. So the interesting part is the Flaming Sphere. If you set that up and have that moving around and hitting targets, the Flaming Sphere is going to do a lot of added damage that, well, it's going to make the Flame Skull harder and deadlier. Not by much. It's not a huge jump, especially when you would be fighting CR4 monsters, but it's something to consider. I still would suggest, yeah, go ahead and use the Fireball. More than likely, I would also maybe say use the Blur instead of Flaming Sphere, since the Blur can help the Flame Skull survive longer, in theory, provided it works. So, you know, an effective, that's a level 2 spell, and that would be roughly worth, on average, maybe 12 effective DPR for the Blur spell, possibly, and that could help out a bit as well. But that also comes more or less in line with the Flaming Sphere effective damage, and making the Blur, making the Flame Skull from the Blur possibly a CR5 again once more. So just to recap, if we use the flaming sphere on the first round of combat and have that moving around, and then do the fireball and then the multi-attack. The flame skull should be a CR5 and an underrated undead. But in order to fix that with a quick fix, we just don't use flaming sphere, and everything else works out just fine. Alright, well, let me take another note here. Because as I always use the maximum amount of damage that I can do, I would consider the Flame Skull underrated, technically. I mean, once the Flaming Sphere is used up in 2 rounds, possibly, or if it loses concentration or whatever, this is going to be finally even rated, but for the time being we have a DCR 4, an OCR of 6, and then a CR of 5. So underrated. Don't use Flame Sphere to get CR 4. Alright. And there we have it for the Flame Sphere, or excuse me, there we have it for the Flaming Skull. A slightly underrated monster, and I would consider this more of a striker style monster with the less amount of hit points, but the survivability. So not necessarily tank-wise. Let's go back at this one more time. I mean, the AC does jump up if it is, you know, if the immunities or the resistances are hitting, and you know, people are using magic against it. Definitely not a melee tank, more a spellcasting tank. Just to make that very clear, and definitely striker territory because of its higher OCR value. All right, do we have anything else that is kind of quick? Because I got like 7 to 10, 15 minutes left before I wrap this up. Let's see here. What else we got? What else? What might be a quick one? Aboleth. Someone wanted the Aboleth and a Doppler rat. Orcus. Definitely won't be doing Orcus. That's going to take way too long. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, the Kraken here is just Clawpaw. That's just where it's coming up for the shorts episode. So we saw it as a live stream, but this is when I've filtered it in for creating a shorts episode. So it'll be 3 weeks before it becomes a shorts episode because of the backlog I have now. So we have this current week here. This is going to be next week's shorts. That is going to be the week after, and that's the following week. So it's not easy to read, but yeah, this is this is my go-to list of like week 1 or the current week, week 2, week 3, week 4, and so on down the line. But yeah, I'll be throwing that together as a shorts just for the fun of it, because it did actually pretty well as a video. I was happy to see that. All right. I guess the Inquisitor of the Tome. Let's finish that off. Let me get Van Richten's out. These were fun. The sword was really cool. That dude was pretty fun. Monsters of Ravenloft. All right. Tome. Let's see if that pops up. All right. There we go. Good. That jumped down nice and quick. So we got our tiefling here with their librarian glasses on, and a nice tome here, and we have our silvered longsword as always. There we go. Shrink that down just a little bit. Oh boy. Let's see here. Clawpaw says, "Oh dang, we kind of have to hold our suggestions back a bit for you to breathe." Well, that's actually why I stopped doing this week. If you look at the schedule, there's nothing from the Creature Codex unless it was asked. Because normally on Wednesdays I'll do Creature Codex Wednesday. It's just, I didn't really call it that, but it just kind of worked out that way. So I've skipped the Creature Codexes on Wednesdays for the time being until I get a little caught up. But I don't mind. I would prefer to have people make recommendations and requests. That way I don't have random stuff people don't want to watch. And the non-official stuff like the Creature Codex, the Tome of Beasts, the Monster Manual Expanded, some people want to see those, but it's really hit and miss. So that's why I don't mind doing official stuff more and putting those in front rather than just doing whatever. Obviously, you know, to appease the algorithm, I would want stuff that people are going to watch on YouTube. All right, and the last one of tonight is the Inquisitor of the Tome. A medium humanoid? No? Wow, there's no wow, they don't put in any kind of alignment here. Oh, interesting. I wonder if that means they're getting rid of it. I don't know if anyone's done a video on that. Interesting. Anyways, 11 AC or 14 with mage armor. I'm really surprised they didn't have the tome also have a breastplate. The other two did. A medium humanoid, as I said, with 14 d8 hit dice and a constitution of 12. Wisdom of 16, charisma of 15. Who knows? They might be needed. Doubtful, though. And should also be a CR8 with a proficiency bonus of 3. All right, moving into the skills area, we have 3 saves of int, wisdom, and charisma, so all the lower end stuff, which isn't surprising for an assumed caster. And we have some skills, condition immunities, and nothing else to worry about from the skills area. And surprisingly enough, our Inquisitor of the Tome doesn't have any traits. There's nothing here to work with, so we can skip right down into the action section as well as a reaction later on. So looking at our actions, we have a multi-attack of two attacks. Just doesn't matter. The Inquisitor attacks twice, so we can pick whatever we want. And with that, we have a +7 +7 to hit, regardless of if it being a force bolt or a long sword. Oh, that's right. Here we go. What would normally be in the monsters trait section is the innate spellcasting and probably implode, but because these are actions to use, they've been moved into the action section, which is important. And then we also have Force Bolt. So let's move over to the workspace here. Force Bolt is going to be, let's see here, 22 points of force damage and can push a target 10 feet away. Really handy for anything that you could drop a player into. So, you know, if there's crevices or a ledge or something, Force Bolt would be handy to push them off that ledge and also have added fall damage, unless they're a monk. Or barbarian, possibly. We also have the Silvered Longsword, which is standard at a 9.5 for two-handed because they're not using a shield, so might as well use the higher damage, plus the 18 force damage as well. And then we also have innate spellcasting. Detect magic, dispel magic, levitate, mage armor, which we calculated into its armor, mage handing, sending, these are all at will, and then Odalux, resilient sphere, and telekinesis. Alright, without wasting time on either of those spells, because my other resource is shot at the moment, I will have to skip over the innate spellcasting because none of these are doing direct damage, although they will probably be extremely handy for figuring out where a possible overrating is coming from. So once I've worked this out and I have some more time to look at it, more than likely the shorts version of this will give us the correct value. So we have lastly Implode, which recharges on 4 to 6. So 50% of the time we are going to see this. So we're going to see this probably 2 out of 3 rounds of combat, which is fascinating. Each creature in a 20-foot radius sphere centered on a point the Inquisitor can see within so much feet must succeed on a Constitution save or take 31 points of force damage and be knocked prone. And move to the unoccupied space closest to the sphere's center. Large and smaller objects, blah, 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 don't care. Okay. So we can do this probably 2 out of 3 times in combat, and we are more than likely aiming for at least a minimum of 2 players or targets for this, dealing a total of 31 points times 2 for 62 points of damage. So more than likely this is where the majority of the damage is coming from. All right. Well, looking at our attacks, we're going to probably do two silvered longswords, since they do the most amount of damage, which is customary between all of these Inquisitors at 55 points of damage. And we'll come down to figuring out our combat damage here. Well, the multi-attack is actually less than the implode, so we would first off start with an implode. And then after that, we would more than likely do a multi-attack. And then probably, regardless of if it's round 2 or 3, on a recharge of 4 to 6 and it being 50% of the time, we're more than likely guaranteed to see this come back again on the 3rd round of combat. So I'm going to suggest that the implode would come back probably on round 3. Again, it doesn't matter if it's on round 2 either. Then the multi-attack would just be used on round 3. They're interchangeable. And we end up with a full attack of 59 points of damage. And so far we're looking at an a overrating of 2. So far our Inquisitor of the Tome is a CR6. Well, that's a little lower than expected. So let's see here. We do have a DC check, and because we're doing this more often, in theory, than multi-attacking, I'm going to switch this to a DC check and see what happens here. Still doesn't help. So somewhere in this, oh, hold on. Before I go any further, we have a reaction. Forgot about that. Telekinetic deflection. Okay. In response to being hit by an attack roll, the Inquisitor increases its AC by 4 against the attack. If this causes the attack to miss, the attacker is hit by the attack instead. All right. This is probably where the bonuses are coming from. So let's go ahead and add in 4 temporary bonus AC. So we're going to hit that for flying and magic resistance, which will give us +4 bonus and only brings us up 1 step. We shift to a CR7, which is really surprising. So even with the DC 15 or the attack of 7, we're looking at a CR7 slightly overrated Inquisitor of the Tome. And yeah, the easiest way to fix this will probably be to just up the damage a little bit. Because of AoEs and the implode, I would not suggest upping the damage here, and I held back on that from the shorts for the Hellhound. I thought upping the fire damage on the bite was more important, so I'm going to suggest the same here. For the to fix the Inquisitor here, let's first put the damage for the force of 4.5 times 4, and then let's up this by 2 and see what happens. Nope, still didn't fix that, so let's add in 4 more D8 damage, is it? Yes, to the silver longsword, and make that a total of 8 dice. And now we have our CR8 Inquisitor of the Tome. So the easiest way to fix this guy is to just add +4 D8, totaling 8 D8 force damage on the silvered longsword, giving us 45.5 points of damage. And we would also need to increase the force damage of the force bolt as well. So that way either of these attacks will be enough to bump us into the CR8 range. So as far as I'm concerned, this is overrated, although I will take a look later on when I do the shorts to see if any of these spells are technically stronger in the effective DPR, and then go from there. So at the moment, the Inquisitor of the Tome is overrated at CR7. All right, let me fix this real quick and go back to that. What did I do here? All right, so let me take a note here for that, and I will wrap this up. Oh, Grimboy. Hello, Grimboy. Good to see you. And we also have the one true Bob the Cobb. Hello, Bob. Bob the Cobb, how you doing? Unfortunately, I am just starting to wrap up the live stream. I will be putting out polls later on to help me find a better time to stream. So if you see the polls asking questions of like, hey, when would you like to see a live stream at? Please add into the comments of like what your time zone is, so that way I can figure out when would be a good time to try and live stream for everyone. Yes, this was the last Inquisitor, the Inquisitor of the Tome, Grimboy. And so far, with its reactions and whatnot, found it to be a CR7, so slightly overrated. Unlike the Inquisitor of the Mindfire, which was a CR7 or 4, depending on how it was used. I'm actually having the Omnist Inquisitors in my current Ravenloft game. Cool. I have to look into those and see what they look like for their stat blocks. Alright, let me come over here and take my note. Actually, while I'm doing that, I'm just going to... yeah, I'll leave it up for now, whatever. Van Richten's, Inquisitor of the Tome, and what do we have here? 4, 9, and 7. Okay. 4, 9, 7. Overrated. Add damage dice. Okay. Oh, misunderstood, Grimboy. Okay, thank you for clarifying. I haven't looked at the lore behind these, although I did read... No, I did read up on the, for the priests of Ozzibus there. So I did see Omnist and, what was his name there? Strad. I read up on that lore and did see the thing about that whole fallout and whatnot and what happened between them, which was really good. It was really interesting and fascinating to read that. I gotta read more of the lore behind these monsters. I just don't have the time. Okay, and there we have it. The Inquisitor of the Tome, slightly overrated, if I haven't said it enough times. And that is it for tonight's show. We've looked at, let's see here. What did we look at? God, I'm totally forgetting now. We looked at Yeenoghu, the Demon Fiend, even rated at CR24, which was surprising. From Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, we had the Stone Giant, CR7 from the Monster Manual, also even rated. We looked at the custom homebrew of Scorpicus, a CR6 that turned out to be a CR7. Then we also looked at the Flame Skull, a CR4, printed, but we found CR5. And the Inquisitor of the Mindfire, a CR8 printed, but found a CR7. Rimboy, it says, probably going to add some new monsters, though, because I just got Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Perfect, yeah. The Wildmount book is going to be fun, because if you have any veteran players, having that in there is really going to throw them off. Let's see here. Ooh, you should rate the Were-Raven from Ravenloft. Yes, I haven't looked at that yet. I did briefly scan over it when I was doing my Ravenloft or Van Richten's week a while back. I was trying to pick 7 monsters and the reception didn't do that well because it was just brand new monsters and no one seemed to care, even though it was a new book. Clawpaw says, very nice live stream tonight. I hope you all have a fresh night, and until next time, ciao. I'll head off. Have a good night, Clawpaw. And thank you all for watching this, and if you've stayed to the end, thank you, you've been awesome. And this is me, Andrew, hoping that all of your encounters are even rated. Have a good night, everyone.